right, let's get into our discussion again. Now, the race for the 2019 presidential election seems to have started in earnest. Some political giants are already showing their hand and strategizing ahead of the poll.
Well, TVC News senior political correspondent Ayodele Ozungbakun takes a look at happenings so far.
Going by the timetable for the 2019 general election released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, it is still 18 months to the next presidential election. But politicians are leaving no stone unturned as their scheming for the #1 seats intensifies. Although President Muhammadu Buhari has not signified his intention to run, some aspirants who ran against him in the ruling APC might be warming up for another shake of the dice. One of such aspirants is former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Atiku has had a shot at the presidency 4 times, but has been unsuccessful in all attempts using various platforms. But Atiku appears not to be giving up. He recently expressed dissatisfaction with the performance of President Muhammadu Buhari. According to him, he has been sidelined by a government he helped to bring to power.
Well, that is a political talk, and that is the way politicians talk. He will give details of what he did, and he did this thing for self. If he did it for the country at the time, events will show, because he will be, if he wants to lead this country, definitely he will be questioned.
The recent remarks credited to the Minister of Women Affairs, Aisha Al-Hassan, declaring her support for the former vice president is already generating reactions.
If some people somewhere are trying to fly a kite, probably with respect to 219, let me tell you, with all the emphasis in my command, that kite is wingless and cannot fly.
I'd rather say that is act of impudence, grave impudence, and at the same time, disloyalty at its highest level.
Al-Hassan claimed President Buhari promised to do just 1 term in office. What should be the fate of Al-Hassan?
If he has taken that stand, and she should have followed it up with resignation, then I will have saluted her.
The ruling party, in a swift response to Atiku and Al-Hassan, reprimanded the duo through the Deputy National Chairman, Northwest, Alhaji Inu Abdul Kadir.
As a party, we caution our members from unguarded statements that are capable of ridiculing the leadership of the party and the leadership of the government that this party formed.
Surprisingly, no official reaction has come from the presidency. The stance of the president has sent tongues wagging. How will it deal in this apparent chink in its armor? Will the president show Ajia Al-Hassan the door? The coming days will provide answers to these pertinent questions. Ayodele Ozungbakun, TVC News, Lagos.
Many questions to answer there, I must say.
Indeed, and of course, the questions will somehow be answered as the days go by, as we inch closer to 2019.
Exactly, all right.
Well, we have here Adewale Adeoye. He is the Executive Director of JODA. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the show. Now, first off, how do you feel as a Nigerian hearing what the Minister for Women Affairs said about the ambition of President Muhammadu Buhari contesting for 2nd term in office?
Well, I think constitutionally she has the right to express herself and also to tell the world what she thinks about how the country is being run. And also she's a woman in the midst of a political platform dominated by, by men. So it takes an extraordinary courage for a woman to be able to speak out in that, outspoken manner. But having said that, I think it's also a reflection of how weak the political structure is, and the fact that the government itself has failed to provide hope for the aspiring population. But also it also raises questions about loyalty of some of the ministers that are serving the president. Because if a woman can come out in such a way to say that, look, I'm going to vote for another person, then it shows that loyalty has collapsed, and it shows that perhaps she's not the only one, but she has spoken representing a trend within the system. So there may be other ministers that also have, aspirants that are just need to replace the president. I think it's an indictment of the regime itself.
I listened to some analysts who said that this is just 2017.
Yeah.
What is the hurry? What is the rush in declaring declaring support for any presidential candidate. Right now, when we still have about a year plus, or at least almost 2 years to the next election.
Well, in this part of the country, most politicians see power as an end in itself. We have elections, people really don't care much about the masses.
Including the ones in question right now?
So once you have an election, politicians are already thinking of the next election. So it shows that what is primary, in their mind is how to grab power. It's not actually about how to resolve economic and political contradictions. Because we are not even up to the half, to the middle of the term. And people are already talking about 2019. So it shows the level of contempt that they have for Nigerians. They are not talking about the economic mess, the recession, but who will replace the president. So it just tells you that politicians care less about the mass of the people, but they care more about how to grab power for their own interest.
Some of those supporting the president are already saying that he's the best man for the job as well to balance up out there. And of course, would you blame Mama Taraba, as she's fondly called, for saying what she said? Because we've heard in the past that, and even the First Lady, the wife of the president, said it, that her husband knows very few of those he surrounds himself with. So, and we've heard many times that APC is a party of comprising of strange bedfellows. Some could be in the cabinet that have their own preferred candidates for the top job in 2019, like you said. So would you blame her? In fact, Senator Shehu Sani said that she should be commended for speaking out, because some could have their own candidates but keeping quiet, and yet they are faking their support for the president.
Well, what she has said is a further confirmation of the fact that APC is a configuration of different interest groups that came to power because of one agenda. They wanted the PDP to be out. And they have not been able to resolve the internal contradictions within them. It also confirms the fact that there are about 3 major blocks in APC. We have the Southwest block, we have the Northwest block, which is dominated by El-Rufai, and then the Mama Daura faction. Then we have the Northeast. Don't forget that the president's mother is from the Northeast. So the jostling for power, among these 3 blocks has, been taken into the corridors of power. And I think what Hassan has said is a reflection of that dichotomy, but I think, among these 3 blocks, you discover that the main issue of disagreement is not really about whether there is a superior motive in transforming the country, apart from the Southwest, for instance, that is talking about restructuring. So the division is about, how to get the spoils of office. It's not as if they have a better ideology, a better program on economy, on environment, on security. It's just about people felt they have been marginalized from the corridors of power in terms of appointments and all that. So it's not really about the people, it's about themselves.
Okay, let's take the Minister of Women Affairs into perspective now. She's a politician because it's not just being appointed. She has been a grassroots politician. So if we're talking about politicians, she's one of those. Without necessarily looking at her as a woman amongst men and all of that.
She almost became a governor.
Exactly, and all of that. Now, the statement that is credited to her right now, do you see it as politically tactical enough? Understanding the fact that Atiku Abubakar, who we're talking about, is a member of the same political party that the president is. At this time where the process or the structure by which anybody should come out as a flag bearer, the party has that. There is time for all of that. Do you think this statement at this time is tactical or politically tactical enough?
I don't think it's tactical.
Okay.
And I don't, if it was a deliberate statement, that she issued a press statement, you will know that it was a conscious statement, really, but it was a slip. So it was a tactless, a move on her part. And I'm sure by now, right in the deep, in the deepest recess of her bedroom, she'll be regretting that she made that statement. But then we should, admit that she's also, because she has not denied it. Other politicians will have said, no, I didn't say it, and try to make up.
It wasn't me.
So I think it was a tactical error on her part to have made it so early.
Okay, let's look at the bigger picture now. We had the publicity secretary of the APC in Lagos, Joe Igbokwe, here one time on the show. We're talking about some of the outbursts of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Then he was talking about restructuring. And of course, you know, to this point, he has talked about so many issues, how APC abandoned him after funding the party to get to power and all that. And Joe Ibukwe said that we know where he's going. This is just a process. He is nursing ambition, and we know he wants to jump ship. He said it. It's on record, because I remember I asked him, you were here, to that.
Exactly.
Can we take it to the bank? And he said yes. So looking at the bigger picture now, do you think this is just like a start of a process of someone leaving one party to another? Of course, we've heard the PDP sometimes saying that they would get all aggrieved big wigs of the party that left to come back. Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is that Atiku represents a formidable political bloc. He has been on that stake since 1991, barely at the age of 44, you know. You remember the SDP primaries, he came third. And in fact, there was a lot of pressure on him to support, you know, Abiola. And of course, he's the icon. He inherited the Yaradua political structure, the PDM. Exactly. People's Democratic. It's one of the most formidable political machines in this country. And of course, the last, you know, when President Obasanjo wanted to go for a second term, if Atiku had insisted, it would have been very difficult for Obasanjo to get a second term. But having said that, I think there are a lot of obstacles that perhaps has diminished his influence. For instance, age is not on his side. He's 70 years old. Then number two, he has no political structure in terms of maybe that he actually controls at the moment. For instance, talking about how many governors are supporting him, you know, then what is his strength, even within the APC blocks. So he's more or less like a stranger, you know, within the context of APC political structure. Perhaps he has some supporters in PDP, but those ones also have their own presidential candidates. So I think as at now, Atiku is negotiating from a position of weakness. He is talking about restructuring. But then we all know that this is slogan. Restructuring is not just something you say and then you have to tell us, put it on paper. How did you want to do it? Who will be your supporters in the National Assembly? Then the zone you are representing, the Northwest, are your people actually for restructuring the whole of Northern Nigeria, or you are relying on the votes from Southwest and Southeast alone? So for me, I think it's just a kind of slogan to create euphoria for public support, because he knows that this part of the country controls the media. So you think he wants to ride on that? It's just lashing out just to get attention from the APC. On public euphoria, you know. And don't also forget that, well, it's a mass of, you know, immense resources and all that. But politics is not just about money alone. You know, there are a lot of factors that will come into play. I think for now, it is, you know, Atiku has started very early. But then there are so many obstacles, so many strings of cobwebs of you know, hurdles that he needs to cross. Yeah, and it's really going to be a very difficult task for him. Well,
as a politician, certainly he should even know better, let me say, when it comes to clout, because from what you're saying, it seems like his clout is waning a little bit. In December 2014, when the APC had their primary presidential primary election, he didn't even come second. He came third after Buhari, Kwankwaso, and then he... Now, there's an online a poll that was carried out by an online media. And there was a question as to who would you support, Buhari, Atiku, or none? And the none had the highest vote. And Atiku didn't even come second. People didn't even want him. He won about just 12% of all of those. Now, if we talk about the issue of clout, he knows that his clout is waning, but is he putting that into consideration for wanting to go again, or he's trying to experiment the way Buhari contested about 4 times before he got the slot? So he's trying to toe the same line.
Well, I think he's trying to explore and exploit, you know, 3 elements. The first one is he wants to realize his, you know, long-term ambition. He has been on this, you know, he's 70 years old now. Perhaps this is the last time, this is the last phase that he can actually contest for that presidential election. Then, number 2, he has said that he felt marginalized. So he wants to settle personal grudges. You know, he said he has been marginalized, you know, and so it's about persons trying to settle personal grudges. So I think if you are driven by these motives, you know, there's a limit to which you can go. You are not driven by certain fundamental issues that you really want to address. When President Buhari came in, he came with 3 agendas: security, job creation, and anti-corruption. So we want, anybody who wants to tackle this regime to come with programs,
issues
that are driven by the interests of the people, not just about affect marginalized, then restructuring.
Personal interests.
Just people are saying.
All right, let's bring in Foladele at this point to tell us what people are talking about all this online. Good morning to you, Foladele.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Good morning, Mr. Dewey. Mike, you were talking about how, you were asking, what's the hurry? Well, we do always talk about how we're always leaving things till last minute. So maybe they're getting started early. Like we always advise them to. All right, so let's get into some reactions. Yami Webmaster says, candidates that will be worse than Atiku include your favorite El-Rufai.
Whoa.
Khalid Abubakar says, most people following Atiku are doing so because of what they can get personally, not because they even trust him. This is one of the factors. Razi Eon says, only God knows who is ready to fight corruption. But sir, God will help you if you have the motive. And this is at Atiku, of course. Abdullah says, politicians no get shame at all. Gwendolyn says, partial to a murderous El-Rufai, but Atiku, partial to a murderous El-Rufai, but Atiku is your problem. Voted for very divisive Buhari, but Atiku, who is as liberal as they come, is a no-no. And someone replied to that saying, Atiku is liberal? How old are you? Ignore his sweet speeches. Have you read about his exploits in customs or Aso Rock?
Getting dirty.
Yeah, a lot of reactions, to be honest. And the last one here, because of time, Abiola says, and this was a tweet at Atiku, and he says, Atiku has kick-started his 2019 presidential campaign with the youths of this nation, will not allow any 65 plus to rule us again. Hashtag enough is enough. All right, so Mr. Adeoye, we see tweets like this last one, we hear statements like this last one, but then it's election time and people are willing to sell their vote for whether it's a food item or money. Yes. Do you think that Nigerians are really ready in 2019 to do what it takes to ensure that statements like this are not just statements, but they become a reality?
I think Nigerians have always been ready to ensure that their votes count. What has happened over and over again is manipulation by a few elite. They manipulated that by giving out money, exploiting the poverty of the people. They line them up and they give them money. And for people who are hungry, they are tempted, to sell their votes, So Nigerians always, if given the chance and given the correct environment, conducive environment, Nigerians will vote based on their conscience. But when people are poor and politicians continuously exploit this poverty to their own advantage, then most Nigerians are helpless.
But whose fault is that? Is it the politician's fault or the fault of the person who wants a change in the long run, but because of a short-term pleasure or short-term satisfaction is willing to sell their vote?
You see, hunger is a major threat to human survival. So for a woman who wants to pay her children's school fees, and you are offering her 50,000 naira, it solves that immediate problem. Unless I say, even all over the all over the country, all over the world, why do people put laws in place? Because they know man naturally has his own excesses. But you put these laws in place, and then you enforce those laws to ensure you cut into pieces the excesses of men.
All right. Okay. Well, Fola, we have to leave it here right now. Thank you so much. We don't have all the time.
Yes, let's quickly look at this now. Do you think, because of what is happening now, the continued silence of President Muhammadu Buhari is fueling so many rumors out there? There is one that he has anointed Kaduna State Governor, and that's El-Rufai, to be the candidate of. I'm sure you've heard that. So there are many rumors out there. So would you say at this point, President Muhammadu Buhari should come out to say that, fellow Nigerians, I am interested in 2019 presidential election. I want to contest again. They should clarify so that people would know that, okay, let's keep quiet and support him. Or, okay, he's not contesting, then let's know who the contenders will be.
Yeah, I think for so many reasons, the president would not like to come out now. Because if he says that, he's going to push his opponents to the extreme. Because they'll be compared either to leave cabinet, and then he's going to destabilize the whole political structure. Then the other fact that is salient, that most of us don't want to admit, is the fact that the health of the president is uncertain. Only God can really determine what himself is not in the position to know what will happen to him in the next 2 years. Whether he'll be so strong, whether he's going to be 100% strong, or he's going to be 95% strong. So, and you really need to be strong to be able to withstand the rigor of campaign in 36 states. So I think as it is now, it's tactical for him to keep quiet. you know, and allow people to do some kind of shadow boxing. But I think at the right time, you know, people around him will come up to say, look, we want him to contest.
All right. As we watch towards 2019, a lot of things will happen in APC. A lot of people have even said that new political parties are going to spring up and all of that. Now, considering Atiku's stance, do you think if he doesn't see the green light in him being the flag bearer of the party, he's going to jump ship and defect to another political party?
Yeah, I think as it is now, given the structure on the ground, presidential election is about primaries. You need to get the governors, you need to be in control of you know, the state ESCOs in the 36 states. So Atiku now is not in a better position to, he's not in a strategic position to win the APC primaries. So I think his best bet is probably to leave that party for another. But we should also expect that some other people feel marginalized. You know, we be in a position to follow him to ensure that they create a kind of another platform, alternative platform to confront, you know, the president. So it is, we can predict scientifically that APC, there is going to be a lot of crowd.
But it seems the APC is even more divided than usual, because there are aggrieved members already, even from the point of the APC getting to power.
Yeah, there has been all of that comments, even from the credited to the Senate President, and all of these are all factors we have to consider going into 2019. Adewale Adeoye, thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.